I like the way the water smears fast across my windshield.
Hi, I'm Brienne, and I'm
trees
here with
flicker
Lindsay Mac
by
at
me
Just Music
in the
on
night.
Coffee House in Pompton Lakes. How are you tonight?
I'm great, thanks.
All right. You play quite an unconventional instrument for your genre. What made you decide that you're going to strap the cello to yourself? Why not learn an easier instrument? Do you like the challenge, or was it?
Yeah, that's a good question. A couple of reasons. One, it's kind of a cop-out because I actually already knew how to play the cello when I switched genres. And so in a way, I didn't have to relearn an instrument. I also felt that most people at my age, which was right out of college when I made this switch, if they had been playing guitar or piano, which are the more like traditional instruments of pop music, they were going to be way better than I was going to be if I just started. So that was the cop-out reason.
Mm-hmm.
The what makes it hard reason is a couple of things. One, I think the cello is actually such an awesome instrument, and it's not utilized as much as it could be. It like in the, you know, when I was growing up in my teenage years, it became really hip to have a cello player in your rock band.
Mm-hmm.
But still all they did was like long, beautiful notes, which is beautiful, but it's not, you know, a fraction of what the cello can do. So I wanted to sort of showcase that. It has a really great range. And playing it so much as a kid and going to 2 conservatories and just being really invested in it, I was invested in the instrument itself. So
Cool.
I did it. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Have you ever always wanted to be a musician? If not, what made you go for it?
A musician is always one of the things I've wanted to be. It's always sort of been in the constant of things I'm interested in. I've also wanted to be a lot of other things and have a little bit been other things for short periods of time. One of my teachers said to me why they chose music is because it's so hard. And I think that might be true for me too. Not necessarily that it's so hard, but that it's so multifaceted. Like at least on an independent level, you have to work on your business skills. You have to work on your logistical skills, your computer skills, and obviously your songwriting. So it's like a way of having one job that's like 5 jobs.
Interesting. All right. Who would you consider your biggest musical influence? And how do you write? Do you sit down and tell yourself, I need to write a song? Does it just come to you? Or
no. I don't really have a biggest influence. I've had moments, you know, eras of being really influenced by different people. For a long time, it was classical musicians because I didn't know that much more. And Yo-Yo Ma is actually a great example. Obviously, he's a world-famous cellist, but he's also broken down barriers. He's made like an Appalachian record and an ancient Chinese music record and all this bluegrass. So that was inspirational. So he's one of the main ones. But tons of people like Tori Amos I listened to when I was younger, and you know, Coldplay, U2, Ani DeFranco, anybody who has a song that reaches me, I like latch onto that song and digest it for like weeks and weeks, and then I move on to something else.
Cool.
How I write, sorry you asked me that, and that's still kind of a mystery. I don't know. I don't know.
That makes sense. Okay. Who are your favorite musicians? You kind of answered that. Do they tend to differ from the ones that influence you musically? If so, why?
Once you're a musician, I think you start valuing other musicians in different ways. I actually really admire a lot of my musician friends who can stay on the road so long and still feel like they feel fresh about it and they're really into it. That's like totally not something you would think about as an admiring of a musician, but that's something I admire. I admire people who really know who they are musically. I think a lot of people are trying to be everything and nothing, and so I admire those people who know who they are, but at the same time are interested in evolving. And you know, those are a lot of people. I mean, Madonna's like a great example that she's stayed relevant for over 3 decades. It's like kind of amazing. She's not as relevant right now, but for a really long time.
Right.
So yeah, I think all that stuff's cool.
Okay. You have 2 CDs out and another coming soon. In what ways has your music evolved through your...
Well, I think hopefully I've figured out who I am a little bit more. With that has come a desire to branch out.
Mm-hmm.
And like this next album I'm making, for example, is going to be really different than the last one, and I probably will lose some fans over it, but I might gain some others too.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like having the confidence just to want to do it anyway
Mm-hmm.
is great, and I didn't have that for the last record or the record before that.
Right.
So that's probably what's changed.
Excellent. Okay. Do you have any specific industry goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years?
You know, if I'm happy with what I'm doing and I'm making a living,
Mm-hmm.
I think those are 2 really large goals that every musician has.
Mm-hmm.
And they're there sometimes, like it's a reality sometimes, and then it's not a reality. And so I just hope over the course of it all, the times that are reality far outweigh
Mm-hmm.
when it's not.
Do you have advice for people who are like looking to get into the field, or?
It's a lot less about music than you think it is, unfortunately. There's a bunch of people who do great music who never float to the top
Mm-hmm.
for lots of different reasons. I mean, you have to have the good music, but you also have to have all this other stuff, and that can be really disconcerting.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you know that ahead of time, then maybe it won't feel like a disappointment when the label's only signing 16-year-olds.
Right.
You're 24.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is, you know, you just got to lead with who you are, and that will bring the most success possible. And if you try to be someone else, it's not going to work.
Do you have a favorite song that you've written?
It changes.
Do you have a favorite song right now that you've written?
I like this new song that we might play tonight called 5 W's. You probably like it because it's new. But, you know, I start over analyzing the old ones, so yeah, I mean I like them, and sometimes I hate them, but it doesn't seem to, the audience likes them or hates them, and it doesn't always line up with what I like or hate. So
Okay, do you have a favorite part about being on the road?
no. I love my band. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They're really fun and really supportive. That is definitely the high point of being on the road, because there's not all that much that's great about it, except obviously connecting with fans face to face,
Mm-hmm.
which in this like digital Facebook world, like we always think we're connecting because you like read someone's page and like, oh, but it's not a real connection.
Right.
And so that's cool, obviously. But the people that help you get through the 9-hour drives and the early morning wake-ups are the band, the people you travel with.
Okay, what's the best thing that has come out of your music? Do you have like a moment or like something that happened that like made you feel like this is still what I'm supposed to be doing?
A lot of little moments, and they seem to pop up whenever you're really in need of a moment
Mm-hmm.
to like remind you why you're doing it. It just happens to come from the universe and reveal itself, which is cool. Sometimes it's like a woman wrote to me, and you know, 2 of her sons died in a car accident when they were 5 years old, and her daughter survived, and then they played my song 7 Stones at the funeral, and it's that song means so much more than the actual song. It
Mm-hmm.
means they're 2 brothers, and you know, I mean, that's something I can never dream of.
Right.
Or then there's just like a moment where like an 80-year-old woman came to a concert because she thought it was going to be a classical cello concert, and I think she was like in the front row, which and there's like speakers and stuff, but she ended up loving it, and that's like such a great feeling, because like I'm like, oh, I'm going to scare her. She doesn't know what's happening. Here it comes. But she was game. It was great.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah.
All right, well, that's it. Thank you very much.
Here I am.